Right, here's a good one for you. Here's a good one for you. This is mental, but I like it. It's good. Penthos says, Blade is holding Aleksi B back. Alternate title, Blade is ruining esports history. Blade's predilections, I can't believe he's using words like predilections and coming up with takes like this. Blade's predilections have kept stars out of Na'Vi. If it's at all true that Aleksi could have joined, I think Aleksi has the high rigor to his game that Aleksi would thrive in. And I blame Blade for this not happening. His past experience with Simple seems to have been a major factor in stopping him from returning to the team, and Aleksi only got a few tournaments with him and seemed to love playing with him. It appears Na'Vi has money to spend, and I think Blade is the main factor as to why this team is not making bigger signings. Now, I even hear people in the scene starting to say Aleksi is on the chopping block, while Blade is seemingly the architect of this lineup. I think both are amazing top-tier talent, but I don't think the pair works together anymore. P.S. A related issue would be the lack of capability to get Russian players, but that's not as sexy of a take and not totally in Blade's control. I think the sanity at the end. Okay, I want to know where people are on this take. It's an interesting take. He's reached for it on this one. Where are we going on this one? What do you think, boys? Blade's holding Aleksi back and Na'Vi by not signing players and giving him more stars and shit like
that. I think that you can go back. I mean, I have my.
I mean, how could he be holding him back when he's reached the highest highs with this guy? I mean, maybe today it's not playing it. I was considering a take actually that was along the lines of somebody like someone between. Well, mostly I was just thinking maybe Aleksi B needs to be considered in this in what needs to happen next for Na'Vi in terms of removal.
Okay.
But I couldn't actually bring myself to make the take. I couldn't bring myself to make the take because I just don't believe it. So I can't just say something that's too. There's some things that I don't believe, but they're funny, like air quality.
Sure.
But or maybe I do. No, I do believe that. I do believe that one. But other takes that are just for the sake of making them a little bit. But that one was just like, I think that they really struck gold with what they had when they won their major, and even what happened successively after it. So I can't just toss that. I can't, and I would never say Blade's holding him back either. I just can't really fathom that being the case. No, I just don't really. I can't mess with the take because it just doesn't really align with how I perceive Na'Vi and their flaws right now. I just don't think Na'Vi has good enough players right now. I think for their CT sides, it's just like everybody else, and that was always going to bite them at the end of everything. Like what's holding them back probably is actually a hotter take is what's held Na'Vi back the most is their unwillingness to sign Russian players. That to me is probably really hurt them more than anything.
I mean, signing Russian players is just not. Yeah,
no. Here's the thing. Obviously, politically, I agree. But if you take that out of it, it is true. Like they could tomorrow and any time in the last few years have had a bunch of star players. Yeah, it's true. They just choose. Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, we all understand they choose not to. But it's true. That is a massive factor. Back in the day, Na'Vi used to have their pick of everyone from that region, mate.
Yeah, it's not like they are kind of. Blade doesn't want to hire Russian players. It's the policy of the org because of the political and actual war between the two countries. It's just logical they're not hiring each other. It's just normal at this point, right? Even though the war is not normal, but that consequences of the war is.
By the way, one other reason you might not be able to do it isn't even just PR. It's that if the player currently is on a Russian org, it might not even be legal to buy the player out, mate. That might be considered like contributing to the Russian economy or something weird.
Exactly.
That gets you in trouble.
You can end up in jail.
Who knows?
God knows who would come for you. These things are not a joke, at all. But the bottom line is like I like these guys. How could I say it? Like maybe he has an opinion. Let's say it like that. He's not an idiot. I don't think he's an idiot.
Okay, well, okay.
He has an opinion, right? And that's what we kind of want when people submit these takes. Even when you're wrong, whatever. He has an idea that he has his reasoning. I think why Na'Vi, maybe he's a fan of Na'Vi. His reasoning for Na'Vi not making it is Blade, whatever, right? That's fair thing to kind of think, even though he's wrong. He's completely wrong. First of all, questioning Blade right now is like questioning the same people who were questioning Blade are the ones who are questioning Carlo Ancelotti, right? And that his methods and the guy won everything. The guy won a major with Simple and without Simple, with stars and without stars, with new players like Ime and whatever, and without them. And he brought players from the academy. He brought players that are up and coming, gave the in-game leading opportunity to Boomic when he was, 2021. The Pit was there, the Perfecto was there. He created all these players. The guy who basically found players like Exile, Electronic, more of them, right? And just to question like his, or actually to call that the failure of Navi is because of him is just crazy. The one thing that I maybe do agree with the guy is at the end that he said like maybe their time together like Aleksi and Blade has run out. That's fine. That happens. That might even be true. But the reason I don't think this lineup will stay together, I don't think as much as Blade isn't blind at all. He realizes that Wonderful is not even a shadow of himself. He's even worse than that. He realized that Ime is not a good player anymore. He also realizes that maybe there is traction between him and Aleksi. He sees those things. He's in the game for more than 10 years as a coach. So I don't think that like he's immune to all of that and blind to all of that. Maybe it's the org that like it's blocking the transfers or wants something else. The org just sold Simple to reportedly $500 million, right? Maybe they want to wait for the end of the season to see how they want to develop. This season has been the average, below average. The competition is very high. They will reinvest. I am not doubting that at all. I think they were going to bring somebody new. And we can trash talk Navi about this year as all we want because they deserve that. But we are talking about the team that was the best last year, the team that, the coach that won a couple of majors as well, unlike, and proved that he can do it without stars and superstars, unlike some others, and then just he has so much credit to spend before we question his capabilities in the game.
Yes. Put it this way.
That's why I don't agree.
Within the last 5 years, Blade has essentially had the team of the year twice. One was like a CIS like super squad, and then one was this crazy mix international squad that no one even thought would be this good. Yeah. So already, by the way, if you can do that in 2 of the last 5 years, you get more time. And your system, no matter what it looks like from the outside, you get the chance to do it, mate. Blade has actually earned that like extra mobility and sort of like leverage over any other coach in the scene. Other coaches might get like the coach that you have to win now. You have to win in the first 10 games. You have to win a tournament. He doesn't have to have that because he's proven it. In fact, last year's team probably buys him the greatest runway of anyone, bar Zonic when he joined fucking Falcons, where he was going to get a lot of time and a lot of chances to fail. Because think about it, right? I'll even say it. I thought Wonderful was a good pickup instead of Simple as like a temporary stand-in. I didn't have them winning any tournaments. The idea they win a major and then have like 6 finals in a row and then the team of the year. Get the fuck out. No. If you even went back now, I'd sort of go, if you replay it in like the matches again, as in not just the same way it was, I'd probably say it wouldn't happen. I'm amazed it did happen. I think that is not only one of the greatest miracles in Counter-Strike that they were the team of the year. I think it is the most obvious example ever of coach impact being an enormous part of the win. Every other all-time great team, we're sort of like, I'm sure the coach did something here and there, or wow, that coach was in other teams, and he also, it's always some weird circumstance. That one, you can just see the fingerprints everywhere. He took players that were like, everyone says now they were up-and-coming players. Yeah, but they weren't going to be on the number one team. GL was like, yeah, he's not a bad player. Immer's like, yeah, he showed something in the past. Oh, you have fucking Wonderful. Yeah, he's not a bad AWPer when he was on Spirit and Sprout. You go down the fucking lineup. Basically, only Bait, which is also a player he found, is the only one that looked like a top player. Aleksi B, everyone else was sick of him. Everyone else said, where's his trophies? Get out the door. By the way, you can do 2 angles for Blade. Here's why he gets unlimited runway. Go to his Instagram now. You know the gimmick is he only posts pictures when he wins trophies. He has like 9 or 10 fucking pictures on his Instagram, boys. Yeah. When you can do that with all levels of team, you get to be, like you say, you get to write your own check. Then let's look at the players he's signed. I'll go further than that, Kassad. People have to remember where they came from. Bit came from the academy, and at the time they were using him as like a Nivera 6-man online. Online he wasn't even that good, mate. He was average as fuck. So when they got to LAN, suddenly he was incredible. He was like, holy fuck, rookie of the year. Only Blade saw that, bro. I didn't. Everyone else was like, maybe bring Flamey back, maybe get another player. The other two, by the way, in that all-time great 2021 squad, he gets all the credit for. Boomic was some guy on Quantum Bellator Fire, the worst team ever to make top 8 at a major. Nobody rated this fucking guy. Nobody thought he could be an IGL for simple and electro. Get the fuck out. Nobody thought that's true. And again, Blade saw something I didn't, because when I watched it, yeah, he's not some genius IGL, but he was the perfect IGL for that team. In fact, he even did weird shit like just running him with Mac 10s so people could farm and trade him. And then lastly, bro, the Perfecto one is crazy. This guy is like some fucking god tier scout. He picked a rando player from Simon Gaming. No one ever said this guy's name. He's not some like bold prediction to watch out for next year. No one ever put this guy's name forward as he should be in Na'Vi. When he joined, the story was they were actually going to sign Flit, who everyone did think was sick, and they ended up with, we got Flit at home, here's Perfecto, and you were like, who the fuck? And remember what Perfecto was? He wasn't some big fragger. He was the guy who played like all the shit roles and made space for you and created like holding for time and uses it. Again, you'd have to have you have to know a lot about CS to know that these players can fit in your team, but this isn't just stacking 5 good names. So unfortunately, Blade has been right when we've all been wrong, or when we didn't even know how right he could be. And so he has earned an extra year where he thinks he can take these same players and get them to the top again. I couldn't believe he got them there once, so I don't blame him if he thinks he can do it again. And then you know what, in a weird way, even though I think he should have made 2 player changes, maybe for his logic is you do it one at a time, so you integrate the player, you get Makaze working, then after this season you get the next guy in. Lastly, I'll throw one out there that no one's even thought of. Even though Blade constantly counter-signalled in all interviews the idea he would want Simple back in the team again. Remember, he was the one saying play tier 3. He was the one that was like, I'm not sure I really liked playing with him as much as now with this new one. You can't know the org, though, because the value of Simple for marketing and for Na'Vi as the face of Na'Vi, there might even have been a world, mate, where they told him something like, look, mate, if you don't make top 8 at the major, or, if Simple starts playing awesome with FaZe, we might have to bring him in the squad. For all we know, he might even have had his hands tied. He might only be now that he can even make the player changes. So all I think is this. I know what he means. It's not a terrible take, although I will say the idea they can't work together. They worked together greater than maybe any IGL coach duo ever in CS2 like that, like in CS2 history. That was unbelievable. So I would say this. If Blade's one of the few people, I'm a mark, mate. I've signed the contract. I've got season tickets forever, bro. I'll never give them up. So I reckon next year, 2026, Blade somehow, whatever squad he has, they'll be right back to the top, mate. I don't know how. I have crazy belief in him, and I agree with you, Kazan.
Yeah.
He's not an idiot. He's not going to bang his head against the wall forever and just stick with Imma and fucking wonderful. Eventually, if they really don't work, and he's tried everything with them, he's also quite a harsh guy in his own way. He'll get rid of him, mate. He'll get the next people in.
And I'll just add to your point, everything that you said, and he one-upped all of that by getting in 2024, by getting a player from Gamer Legion, which is Ime, player from Apex, which is JL, player from Sprout, which is wonderful, and he got a bit from Academy team who was already in the team back in 2021. You already mentioned that. And the 5th player, the most important piece, whatever, it was the Aleksi. Where was Aleksi when he picked him up?
Was it an IP?
Somebody tell me that.
Was it actually?
He was in an IP. He was benched. He was benched from G2. Yeah. He was benched there. And then from that, he made the best team of 2024.
That's pretty insane, isn't it?
Na'Vi didn't buy players from Liquid, from FaZe, like for example, Vitality bought a player from FaZe, or brought a player from FaZe. Liquid or any other like this high tier teams or tier 1 organizations, like for example, Falcons bought a half of the team from G2. The Blade didn't do that. Na'Vi didn't do that. So from that, he created the best team in 2024 in just the space of 6 months. That earns him a lot of fucking credit. So.
By the way, I do. The one part I agree with, though, is I do think, for me, if I was Blade, I can't know how he differs to me, and that's it. I would at least have considered the Elige one, though. I actually think Elige would like his system. I agree with that point. That's one point I do agree. But whatever. It was still the first season, to be fair. Like, this was back in last year, and we went on to have more success without him, so I can't blame him. He got in every fucking final. I don't know if he'd have done that with Elige. Who knows?
Yeah.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.